Honorable viewers, I welcome all of you to my YouTube channel Department of English. Today's topic is Wuthering Heights, written by Emily Bronte. This is a 18th and 19th century novel. So let's get started. Emily Bronte was born in 1818. Wuthering Heights has been written by Emily Bronte. It is the story of two families, the Earnshaw family and the Linton family. The Earnshaw family lives at Wuthering Heights. Hindley and Catherine, that means Kathy, are two children of Mr. and Mrs. Earnshaw. The Linton family lives at Thrush Cross Grange. Ezer and Isabella are two children of Mr. and Mrs. Linton. Mr. Earnshaw picks up an unknown, dirty and raised child from Salem and brings him home to Wuthering Heights to be brought up there. The child is given the name of Heathcliff. Kathy, daughter of Mr. Earnshaw, rapidly becomes intimate with Heathcliff. But Hindley, brother of Kathy, cruelly treats Heathcliff. When he has been brutally treated by Hindley, he says, quote, I am trying to settle how I shall pay Hindley back. I don't care how long I wait. If I can only do it at least, I hope he will not die before I do. Heathcliff begins to think in terms of revenge upon his tormentor. Kathy becomes quite intimate with the Linton children, Ezer and Isabella. By the time Mr. Earnshaw dies, Hindley has already got married to a girl called Frances. Soon afterwards, Frances gives birth to a child, which is given the name of Hareton. Hindley gets into the habit of drinking. Ezer proposes marriage to Kathy. Kathy accepts the proposal, although Kathy is really in love with Heathcliff. She tells the housekeeper, Nellie, that it would be socially degrading for her to marry him and that she has accepted the marriage proposal of Ezer. Quote, my great measures in his all have been Heathcliff's measures, my great thought in living in himself. Heathcliff overhears a part of this conversation between Kathy and Neely, and he leaves Wuthering Heights and disappears. The statement which Kathy makes with regard to her feelings for Ezer and for Heathcliff are very important. The following statement is particularly noteworthy. Quote, my love for Linton is like the foliage in the woods. Time will change it. I am will ever, as winter changes the trees. My love for Heathcliff resembles the eternal rocks beneath. He is always, always in my mind. 3 years later, 3 years later, Ezer and Kathy get married, and a few months afterwards, Heathcliff suddenly reappears at Wuthering Heights. There is a change in Heathcliff's appearance and manners now. He looks almost handsome and dignified. Besides, he is now a rich man, though it is not clear how he has become rich. Kathy is overjoyed to see him. Isabella, the sister of Edgar, falls in love with Heathcliff. But Edgar can't tolerate the presence of Heathcliff in his house because he regards Heathcliff as a scoundrel. 2 months later, Heathcliff and Isabella get married and settle at Wuthering Heights. Hindley welcomes Heathcliff as his guest because Heathcliff contributes money for his drinking and gambling habits. Heathcliff lends loan to Hindley. Heathcliff has not married Isabella for love. He has married her to get her property. He therefore begins to illiterate Isabella and to insult her at the same time, so that Isabella begins to look upon him almost as a monster. Heathcliff now appears to be a real monster, a devil. Isabella says about him, quotation, "Don't put faith in a single word he speaks. He is a lying fiend, a monster, and not a human being." Isabella is unable to accept the continuing brutal treatment of Heathcliff. She feels she flees from Wuthering, hates and gives birth to a child, which is given name Linton. Isabella dies and Ager takes the charge of Linton. Kathy has been ill for a long time. Heathcliff pays a secret visit to the ailing Kathy. There is a passionate skin between the two. That very night, Kathy dies after giving birth to a baby girl who is given the same name, Catherine. Heathcliff's grief is indescribable. He believes that he can't or cannot live without Kathy. Kathy shows her deep love for Heathcliff. Quotation, "Is more myself than I am, whatever our souls are made of, his and mine are the same." Hindley now becomes a puppet in the hand of Heathcliff. Gradually, Heathcliff captures his all assets. After the death of Hindley, Heathcliff becomes the owner of Hindley's assets. So he has now become the master of Wuthering Heights. Hindley's son Hareton has grown up under the guardianship of Heathcliff. Hareton is misguided by Heathcliff. Hareton receives no education. Even he develops different types of bad habit. Heathcliff has brought up the boy in this manner in order to take his revenge upon Henley, who used to maltreat him when Heathcliff himself was a child. Heathcliff learns that his son has been brought to the Grange. Heathcliff does not love his son, but he has a plan in his mind by which he hopes to acquire the entire property of Thrushcross Grange. Linton and Catherine get married, but Eger cannot allow his daughter Catherine to visit Wuthering Heights where Linton lives, because Eger is sure that Heathcliff is a scoundrel. Catherine manages to escape from Wuthering Heights and reaches the Grange just in time to see her father, who is on his death bed. Soon after Ager's funeral, Heathcliff arrives at a Grange and declares himself to be the owner of these estate also because with the death of Ager, the property belongs to Catherine and therefore to Linton, Heathcliff's son. Young Linton dies prematurely. About 12 years pass. Catherine, the daughter of Edgar, and the dead Cathy is now grown up. On the other hand, Linton, the son of Isabella and Heathcliff, is now grown up. Edgar's daughter Catherine is now the widow of Heathcliff's own son, and Catherine too is under his complete control. We see young Catherine's disobedient attitude towards Heathcliff. Even though she has to carry out his orders, she does so in disobedient manner. Mr. Heathcliff, you have nobody to love you, and however miserable you make us, lonely like the devil, nobody will cry for you when you die. I wouldn't be you. Now, Henry's son, Hereto, very bad boy, begins to feel interested in Catherine. He tries to win Catherine's favor, but she declares her abhorrence for him. She says, quotation, I reject any pretense of kindness you have the hypocrisy of offer. I despise you and will have nothing to say to any of you. Heathcliff's revenge upon the two families is almost complete, but not really complete. He has become the master of both estates, Wuthering Heights and Throws Scores, I don't know what is the correct pronunciation, Grange. Henry's son, Hareton, has been brought up as a brood and is under the complete domination of Heathcliff. Heathcliff's brutal nature is here emphasized. After Henry's death, Heathcliff leaves Henry's son Hareton on the one to the table and says, quotation, now, my bunny legged, you are mine, and we will see if one tree won't grow as crooked as another with the same wind to twist it. Heathcliff is now obsessed by one thought, the thought of Cathy, whom he had loved and lost. He tells Nellie that for the last 18 years memories of Cathy have tormented him. It has been a long fight, he says, and he now wants that the fight should end. It is obvious that Heathcliff's conscience has now began to trouble him and that he cannot longer continue his savage cruelty. His thoughts now turn inwards and he sees only Cathy's image in every object. He begins to talk of his days and he gives the necessary instructions to Nellie for his burial. He has already arranged with the sixth stone that his dead body should be buried close to that of Cathy. Heathcliff is then buried in accordance with his instructions. Here, Hareton is the only person who really suffers deeply and who weeps bitterly to have lost his benefactor. Afterwards, different people claim that they have seen Heathcliff's ghost roaming about on the moors. Some even say that they have seen two ghosts, Heathcliff's and Cathy's, roaming about together. Thus, if the love of Heathcliff's and Cathy's could not be fulfilled during their lifetime, it is fulfilled after their death. Not only do their bodies lie close to each other, but their spirits also move about together. Catherine and Hareton, who had been getting closer to each other, now decide to get married. We see the happy ending of the novel. So that's all about Wuthering Heights. For the timing, thanks for your patience hearing. Bye bye.